It was a calm May morning in Los Angeles in the year 2025 when sudden explosions erupted throughout the city at precisely 9:15 a.m. Three well-coordinated strikes had simultaneously targeted Lax Airport, the city's financial district, and a nearby military installation, resulting in the deaths of at least 47 people and wounding hundreds more. Within moments, the attacks overtook every major U.S. news channel. President Trump was holding a meeting in the Oval Office when he was informed. "Mr. President, we have a critical situation unfolding in Los Angeles," announced his national security advisor, entering the room urgently. Multiple coordinated terrorist strikes, significant casualties. Trump immediately called for an emergency session of the National Security Council. "Who's responsible?" he asked, his face turning red with fury. "We're still working to confirm, sir, but the patterns suggest involvement by an international terror organization," the CIA director replied. Meanwhile, in Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traoré watched the unfolding news with deep concern. At 35, he had battled terrorism long enough to grasp the kind of destruction such events bring to innocent families. "Draft a statement of sympathy for the American people," he instructed his foreign minister, Dr. Alan Skedrigo. "Terrorism is an enemy to all humanity, regardless of where it strikes." But Ibrahim could not have predicted that President Trump would soon single him out in a globally shocking move. At 2 p.m., Trump appeared on national TV to address the country. He began with expected remarks: condolences, pledges of justice, calls for national unity. But then, he took a dramatic and controversial turn. "This tragedy proves that America needs strong leadership, not amateurs pretending to fight terrorism," Trump declared, taking a veiled swipe at foreign leaders. "Some young presidents can fool the press with fake stats, but real threats require real experience." The message was clearly aimed at Ibrahim Traoré, who had recently earned global respect for his effective anti-terror efforts in the Sahel region. Trump's speech continued, stunning political observers. "While our country faces actual attacks," he said, "some African leaders are busy boasting about imaginary victories over terrorism. Perhaps if they spent less time giving lectures at universities and more time learning from seasoned professionals, the world would be safer." His comments sparked instant backlash. Leveraging a national crisis to insult a foreign ally was unheard of in American diplomacy. Social media erupted. Democratic senator tweeted, "Trump is using American deaths to target a president who is actually fighting terrorism. This is a disgrace island for him." News outlets scrambled to cover the dramatic escalation. CNN immediately reached out to offer Ibrahim airtime to respond. "President Traoré, would you like to go live in response to President Trump?" Anderson Cooper asked by phone from Ouagadougou. Ibrahim, who had spent the afternoon drafting a dignified message of condolence, now faced an unexpected decision: how to respond in the midst of American mourning. "Mr. Cooper," he said after a thoughtful pause, "the tragedy in Los Angeles deserves solemnity, not political weaponization. But if President Trump wants to compare our records on counterterrorism, I accept." The decision was finalized. At 8 p.m. Eastern, CNN would air a live debate between President Trump and President Traoré, with the smoke of Los Angeles still rising behind the headlines. It was a moment without precedent, a U.S. president being publicly challenged by an African leader in the wake of a national emergency. Dr. Gadrogo warned Ibrahim, "President, this is a major risk. Trump is emotionally unstable. He might say anything." "That's exactly why I must speak," Ibrahim replied. "He's turning a tragedy into an opportunity to spread falsehoods about our efforts. We cannot let this go unanswered." At 8 p.m. sharp, CNN began its broadcast, what would become the most intense and extraordinary showdown in American television history. Anderson Cooper moderated from the Atlanta studio. Trump joined remotely. From the White House, President Trump and President Ibrahim of Ouagadougou were present when Anderson Cooper began. "Earlier, your statements appeared to criticize global leaders during this national period of mourning. Could you elaborate?" Trump looked visibly irritated. "Anderson, while Americans are dying, some international leaders are pretending to be counterterrorism authorities. Need to stop sugarcoating the truth and be honest." Cooper turned to President Traoré. "How do you respond to these claims?" Ibrahim exhaled deeply, his measured tone contrasting sharply with Trump's intensity. "First, Mr. Cooper, allow me to offer my sincere sympathies to the American people. The death of innocent civilians due to terrorism is a sorrow no nation should endure," he continued, however, using this tragedy to mislead the public about legitimate anti-terrorism progress is an insult to both the victims and reality. Trump erupted. "Misinformation? You govern a nation most people can't even locate on a map? What victories do you claim against actual terrorism?" Mr. President Ibrahim said steadily since 2022, Burkina Faso has decreased terror-related incidents by 89%. NATO, the Pentagon, and European intelligence agencies study our tactics. Fake statistics, Trump shouted. "You Africans always exaggerate the numbers." Ibrahim stayed remarkably composed. "Your own institutions, the CIA, the Pentagon, and the State Department, all have access to our operational data," he added. "Meanwhile, Los Angeles is currently under attack. That indicates that U.S. counterterrorism methods have failed. Perhaps it's time to evaluate their effectiveness." A remark struck like a thunderbolt. Referring to a domestic security failure to challenge Trump was a bold and piercing strategy. Anderson Cooper looked visibly impressed by Ibrahim's poised, strategic delivery. Trying to recover, Trump resorted to personal jabs. "Ibrahim, you're 35. I've been fighting terrorism since before you were even born." Unshaken, Ibrahim replied, "Mr. President, competence isn't dictated by age. Results matter. And today's events in Los Angeles show that experience alone doesn't guarantee protection." "How dare you?" Trump snapped. "America is safer than any African country, Mr. President," Ibrahim responded. 47 Americans lost their lives today. "How many Burkina citizens have died in terror attacks this year?" Trump paused, sensing the trap. "That's not the same. It's different because our approach works," Ibrahim said firmly. 0 civilian deaths due to terrorism in Burkina Faso by 2025. In contrast, America has lost dozens today and many more this year. Cooper was riveted. "President Traoré, are you implying that Burkina Faso's methods surpass America's?" "I'm saying the numbers speak for themselves," Ibrahim answered. "With just $50 million annually, we neutralize threats. The U.S. spends $50 billion and still suffers attacks." Trump now looked cornered. "You don't face real terrorism like we do." Ibrahim calmly produced a document. "Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram, all operate in our region. These are the same organizations behind today's Los Angeles assault. The difference? We've defeated them. You're still being targeted." That argument landed hard. Trump had attempted to belittle Ibrahim's threat level, only to be reminded that those same groups had struck America after being beaten in Burkina Faso. "Perhaps," Ibrahim added with a courteous smile, "America could benefit from learning from nations that have defeated terrorism, not just thrown trillions at it." Trump's silence said everything. The man he tried to embarrass had completely unraveled his argument. Desperate, Trump made a critical error, resorting to veiled threats of American might. "You seem to forget who you're addressing, Ibrahim. America has the military capacity to destroy any nation in mere hours." The threat was so out of place that even Anderson Cooper looked stunned. "Mr. President, are you seriously threatening a foreign ally live on national television?" Yet Ibrahim remained unshaken. "Sir, with that one sentence, you just confirmed everything I said about your failed approach." Threatening allied. Nations, when challenged by facts, is exactly the kind of flawed mindset that enables tragedies like today's. Military strength without tactical insight is meaningless. United States may have the biggest defense budget on Earth, yet Los Angeles was still struck. Strength without skill is squandered potential. Trump was now visibly losing control. "You have no idea what real power looks like," he barked. "I understand what effective power is," Ibrahim responded calmly. "True power means safeguarding your citizens, not lashing out at leaders who highlight your failures. Today, 47 Americans died because the system under your leadership collapsed. Instead of learning from those who've succeeded, you resort to threats and insults," Ibrahim said, pausing for effect. Mr. President, that is the difference between genuine leadership and dangerous populism. Leaders defend their people. Demagogues defend their pride. Anderson Cooper, visibly struck, turned to Ibrahim. President Traoré, those are powerful words. They are words that must be spoken, Ibrahim replied. While Mr. Trump attacks me, American families grieve for lives that might have been saved, had effective strategies been used, not just massive spending, he continued. I will say it again. Our specialists are ready to share proven counterterrorism methods. American pride should not come at the expense of American lives. Without a word, Trump turned off his camera, leaving Ibrahim alone on screen. Turning directly to the audience, Ibrahim addressed the American people. I offer heartfelt condolences and real, actionable support. Let not politics stand in the way of cooperation that saves lives. The entire world had just witnessed the complete unraveling of a president who had tried to publicly shame a foreign leader and failed spectacularly. Within minutes, U.S. social media platforms erupted with record-breaking engagement. Hashtags like #TrumpMeltdown and #ReoundTrump began trending instantly. What surprised many was the overwhelming support for Ibrahim. The U.S. threatens allied leader during national mourning. This is a new low, tweeted a centrist Republican senator. A retired U.S. general added Traoré displayed more leadership in 20 minutes than Trump has in an entire term. One tweet read, a young African president just schooled Trump in grace, strength, and unity. Inside the White House, chaos reigned. Mr. President, you threatened a foreign ally on live TV, said the chief of staff, nearly panicking. This could spark enormous diplomatic fallout. He insulted me, Trump snapped. Nobody speaks to the President of the United States that way. Sir, the National Security Advisor tried to explain. He quoted accurate data on counterterrorism. Even our own Pentagon has verified them. Meanwhile, world leaders were publicly condemning Trump's behavior. France's Emmanuel Macron tweeted, threatening partners during moments of mourning is disgraceful. President Traoré demonstrated statesmanship. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau didn't mince words. Traoré offered sincere support and was met with hostility. That's what real leadership looks like. Worse still for Trump, criticism came from within his own party. A senior GOP senator said, President Traoré responded with poise, something we wish we saw in our own president. CNN quickly commissioned public opinion polling. Early results showed that 67% of Americans believed Trump's conduct during the crisis was inappropriate. In contrast, Ibrahim Traoré gained widespread respect, even from previously skeptical. Us audiences, political analysts, and international relations professors at American universities began planning to include the confrontation in future coursework. As a prime case study of diplomatic failure in a time of crisis. But then, just 3 hours after the explosive exchange, a development shifted the entire narrative. The FBI held a press briefing announcing that multiple terrorist cells had been captured in Chicago and Miami. Thanks to intelligence provided directly by Burkina Faso, information from Burkina Faso's intelligence services enabled us to detect and dismantle active plots. We estimate these actions saved countless lives, the FBI director revealed. Hundreds of American lives were saved. The irony was sharp. While President Trump was lashing out at Ibrahim on live television, Burkina Faso's intelligence network was actively safeguarding Americans. Anderson Cooper broke back into programming with dramatic updates. We've just confirmed that during this broadcast. Intelligence from Burkina Faso directly assisted the FBI in stopping further attacks on U.S. soil. That means while President Trump criticized President Traoré, the Burkinabe leader was literally protecting American citizens. This revelation shattered Trump's credibility. How could he justify berating a leader whose actions were saving American lives in real time? Social media erupted again. Tweets like, Ibrahim protects Americans, while Trump attacks him on Riel in Burkina Faso does more to defend us than our own government went viral. Many insisted Trump owed Ibrahim gratitude, not threats. The Pentagon released a rare statement. We acknowledge valuable collaboration with Burkina Faso security services and counter-terror operations. President Traoré is a trusted ally. In the fight against terrorism, even the CIA broke its silence, declaring Burkina Faso's intelligence has played a vital role in averting attacks on American targets. Trump's argument had collapsed. His feeble attempt to recover, "I've always supported global cooperation," rang hollow. Video clips of him threatening Ibrahim had already amassed millions of views. "Trump threatens the man saving American lives," read the headline in the Washington Post. Commentators called it a new low in presidential behavior. Within 48 hours, Trump's political base began to fracture. Longtime Republican supporters openly questioned his judgment. "The president has lost his grip," a senior GOP senator said on Fox News. "Traoré deserves our thanks, not our aggression." Polling reflected the fallout. Trump's approval plummeted 12 points in just 2 days, the steepest drop of his presidency. "Americans will not tolerate threats against someone who is actively protecting them," a Republican pollster noted. Even more damning, the families of victims from the LA attack spoke out. "My son died while the president attacked a man, preventing more deaths." One grieving mother told CNN, "Trump should have been working with Ibrahim, not threatening him." Democrats filed a formal censure motion in Congress, condemning Trump for endangering national security by threatening a foreign ally during a domestic emergency. Even Fox News criticized Trump. "Attacking someone who is helping the United States is indefensible," said the lead anchor. "This isn't America first. This is America isolated." Meanwhile, Ibrahim Traoré's stature soared. Universities, think tanks, and even U.S. military academies invited him to speak. "We want to study the Traoré method," said the West Point commandant. "He's saving lives on a fraction of our budget." Hashtags like #ImpeachTrump and #ThankYou Ibrahim surged online. In just 2 days, Trump went from commander-in-chief to political liability. While Ibrahim became a global symbol of effective leadership,